Don't say it's like odds because we'll upset everyone. Hello.
Who said it was like odds?
Welcome to the podcast. 4020 live.
There's a spare chair for good reason.
Who could it be?
He's coming in.
Who could it be?
He's on his way.
Who could it be? It could be anyone.
What he heard was we had half coated, as in with chocolate,
yes,
winter spiced cookies and white chocolate rounds. He thought, I can't miss that.
No, it's not. It doesn't work for that Spice Girls joke. The new magazine's out. It's down there now, and you can buy it. If you're in Australia, you can email the shop. And
Somebody just did.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. You have to pay. You don't get a freebie. It's a business. Like everything else. Like asking questions about things. But yes, welcome. Thank you to Neil. Not much to discuss this week. Again, true. Ken likes the music at the start. I don't know what it was today. I know it wasn't the News at 10 music because we got told off.
Somebody liked my jumper last week.
Yeah, your jumpers have become a thing now, haven't they? Which I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that's happened. But,
no, presumably his 1970s fashion is back on vogue.
No one talks about Brian Carney's jumpers, do they, or anything? So, I don't know.
I never saw myself as a stylizer.
No, well, now you are. But I noticed you wore it on Radio Leeds as well. So, but you've got to get more than one day's use.
It's the same week, isn't it? Yeah. You're not going to change your jumper twice in a week.
You've got to get more than one day's use out of a jumper. Welcome to the programme. It's 4020 live. It's October the 20th. And Rugby League is still going on. We were just talking before we came on about the exciting week of international rugby, which starts tomorrow with the World Series in Canada.
The Women's World Series. We've got Ireland against Nigeria.
Actual internationals.
And Canada against Fiji.
Between two international countries, not people pretending to be international countries.
And the winner of that tournament, which finishes on Sunday, will go to the Women's World Cup. They've got
a Twitter account now, so we should have some news coming out of the World Cup soon.
Got Jamaica against France in Albi on Saturday. The winner of that goes to the Men's World Cup. We've got the European Championships, Ukraine, which is a story in itself.
Did they beat Norway? No, Norway played Czech Republic, didn't they?
Yeah.
Czechia, sorry.
But Ukraine beat Italy.
Yes.
And they're now playing Greece on Wednesday. And most of the European B, C and D tiers will be completed either by the weekend or I think we'll know who the winners are at the weekend. It's just a smorgasbord.
Who needs the
international rugby league?
Who needs the Ashes?
We haven't even mentioned the Ashes.
No. Well done to Steve Masco for pointing out that article in some Australian newspaper from Australian senator saying it's very bad how rugby union's been diminished in the Pacific region by Czechs Nuts Rugby League. Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
We had some great games at the weekend in the Pacific Championship.
And what's great is
the Pac Champs.
The Pac Champs. If you didn't want to get up at silly o'clock in the morning, you could watch the highlights on YouTube. When you got up, they were there ready for you. And helpfully, the NRL today have put together a 20-minute highlight package, which is just the highlights they put out with a presenter saying, here's what happened. Which we could do every week in Super League because we haven't got a highlights programme anymore. And we could do in the Championship because there's never been one. Well, not for a long time.
Is there a Championship? I mean, we heard a lot of stuff about Super League last week. Did we hear anything about the Championship?
And wheelchair Super League, but we don't do it. So, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the Championship, do we? Because even though,
should we wait for our esteemed colleagues to discuss?
Should we do the internationals that happened? Because he probably hasn't watched them. Because he's not marking them the referees in the Orchids versus the Moana, is he?
No.
So, it's still to come, the Championship. On Saturday, Fiji men 44, Cook Island men 24. That was good. How many? It's Ero, is it? Not we call them Iro because we're ignorant.
Yes.
Ero. How many? There's another one.
KL.
It's got a nice try.
Son of. Well, apparently eligible to play for England because he was born in Leeds.
Someone tell Uncle Sean before the bit too late now. And the Kiwis 24, Samoa 18. What a game!
I watched that. Some people who are stupid enough to get up at X o'clock on a Sunday. It was sensational, and there was some question as to how committed would Payne Haas be to the Samoan Brotherhood. and I think the stats said he ran for just short of 200 metres and made just short of 60 tackles.
So that's no effort, is it?
So I think you can say that the Samoans were up for it.
What an atmosphere!
I mean, there was some question mark of playing these games on a Sunday may affect the attendances because it clashes with going to church,
Yep.
which obviously is extremely important, particularly to Pacific Islanders. They still got over 20,000 there. It was ear-splittingly good, and Dean Mariner dropped a ball with about 5
Was that the
minutes
one on
to
the wing?
play. He was playing in the centre.
Oh yeah.
And it was a brilliant chip over from Jerome Luai, and he just fed the ball slightly too hard and marginally high to Mariner. If he'd taken it, they would have scored one, and then New Zealand went up the other end. Kieran Foran hoisted a kick, and Dylan Brown managed to catch it, and almost in Benison style, just got it over. Did he get it over the line?
Well, I'm not sure. two superb non-tries from Samoa as well in the corner. It has to be said, though. He's superb.
But what a game! And one thing it shows is that we're now getting to the point where when the next World Cup comes around this time next year, there will genuinely be probably 6 nations that think they can win it. Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Samoa, England, and somebody else.
What's the highest award that can be bestowed upon someone? Not the Golden Boot, but the highest award that International Rugby League can bestow on someone. Because whatever it is, if they named a medal after the World Cup fella, the French fella, whose name I've forgotten.
Paul Barrier.
Barrier, thank you. They should strike a medal and award it straight away to Jason Tamalolo, because if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Well, we've got this ridiculous growth of Pacific Rugby League.
Well, in the same way that Arthur Beetson made State of Origin, it's like, we've got this idea, we don't know if it's going to work. Oh, Arthur just lamped one of his teammates. We've got a concept here. We've got a concept. I think it's the same with heritage now means something. And I think if you only need to watch the Sippy Tau and Civvy Tau before games, it's like, try telling me that those people aren't hugely committed to what they believe in and where they come from. And a lot of people, to pursue their rugby league dream, have to leave their homeland to go somewhere else. There's a lot of heritage Ukrainians at the moment helping out the Ukraine team that's playing in the European Championships, or as we should now call them, the Euro Champs. And it's not that they're any less passionate because they weren't physically born on the Ukrainian soil. It's that their parents had to leave and they've made a life for themselves in Australia, but it still means as much to them and their parents and grandparents to be representing that flag.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can take any, if AJ Brimson plays for England on Saturday, I will not be saying, I'm sorry, if he scores or kicks the winning drop goal, I can't possibly support him because he's not. His mother's from England and he wants to play for England.
He's as English as you or I.
Well, he is. He's eligible. You're either eligible or you're not eligible. Stop making excuses.
Like Tony Cascarino for the Irish football team. You're either eligible or you're not, and he wasn't, but no one knows.
That was slightly different.
Made it up.
Yes.
But they can't take his caps away from him now.
They didn't.
They can't expunge the results.
They didn't have as rigorous a checking procedure then as they probably do now.
I'm not sure they still do. In the women's, the Cook Islands, I mean, this is my derby. These are my two favourite teams, the PNG and the Cook Islands.
Yes, well, PNG are obviously going through some kind of regeneration at the moment because they dropped into the bowl from the championship because they, not surprisingly, probably got heavily beaten by New Zealand and Australia last year. But from what we saw in the World Cup, we thought they're building something, but clearly
The Cookies.
the Moana.
Yeah, 34-6.
That was a great. Yeah, they played some lovely rugby. But then they've got NRLW players now.
Emily Viva scored the PNG try, so that's Wigan. If you're a Wigan-based journalist, you can just write about that this week. But it was good to see one of my favourites in the World Cup, Karatina Matau. No, I've pronounced the name wrong, so I apologise. Playing for the Cookies and bashing people, as she does. And the Kiwi Ferns 22, Samoa 20. Now, the first thing we need to point out is where's the chevron gone? Those New Zealand kits, they look very
Very all black.
How can we put it? They look all black to me. I'm surprised there's not been a cease and desist order put out on them. But,
Excellent.
But they look very nice.
It's just the latest level of the takeover.
The white chevron's got a bit thin, very thin. But again, what a game! And I know we can't go back to Vegas all the time, but bloody hell.
Well, Samoa, winning 20-0 against the Ferns, who are easily the second best nation. But Samoa, again, with their NRLW players, were sensational, moving the ball, fantastic. And then New Zealand got back into the game, mainly with a very good kicking game. Racine McGregor was at the heart of that, who obviously we know is a sensational player. And then Mele Hufanga, who we already know is pretty good. Won a grand final with a try, then wins a Pac Champ International with the winning try. She was fearsome watching her. Did you see the stats of Shalom Suaso? I think our guest.
I've heard. I'm going to say no, but I know you're going to tell me them.
Well, I can't remember all of them, but she made her debut for Samoa and was one of the reasons why they were so good. Scored a try. Again, 200 running metres against that Kiwi pack. It's a phenomenal talent. I think she's 19. Unbelievable. But what a game. What quality. What standard.
Don't tell anyone here that, in this country, I mean, that women's rugby begun and ended with that tournament that was here a few weeks ago, because woof, how exciting. The thing that we're missing, and I assume we're not going to get this for the Ashes, but we had it during the World Cup and it was great, and it's something we need, especially at the major games where we foolishly are tasked with choosing the player of the match. We don't have the stats. In the World Cup we had the stats live, which is why after England versus Canada, I think it was, they played... No, it's PNG. Sorry, PNG, because it was Canada-Brazil at Headingley. They played Canada at Wigan, didn't they, when the Duchess of whatever she was there.
Some royal.
Yeah. I think she's changed jobs now.
She hasn't given back a
But a family owned something in Leeds, I read on the Leeds Live, because, it's always important. But anyway, during that game against PNG, if I remember where we are now, they put up, we could see the stats, so I could see who I wanted to speak to after the game. I go, oh, Vicky Whitford, you made 160 metres or something ridiculous. But we don't have them now, so we're going into these mix zones, or blind, we can't say, well, you had a good game, didn't you? All these meetings, you scored all the... Well, we know the tries.
I think it does enhance your understanding and viewing as well.
What players are doing.
So, yeah, just the quality of International Rugby League. And it builds into the first Ashes series for 22 years. And I'm finding it very hard not to get excited. So I think there can be lots of debate about who's been picked and who's going to play and how exciting the Australians are going to be and the debuts that they're going to give and the whole Willie Peters thing, which adds another layer on top of it. And who's going to be the referee? How's it going to be refereed? Within this window of international opportunity, it looms incredibly large. It's so exciting.
It is exciting. Phil says we can do some Morris dancing or club dancing before kick-off at the weekend. Good. I think they've got a DJ in. I think that's the pre-match entertainment, but it doesn't need any entertainment.
Well, it's interesting because I've done a retrospective of the 1990 game that was at Wembley, which may be in the programme on Saturday, if it makes the cut. And there was the biggest crowd we'd had for a test match in this country, 55,000, which funnily enough we've sold exactly the same number of tickets for Saturday. As of now, I think there'll be 60. And we had the Philharmonia chorus singing Land of Hope and Glory, and apparently it affected the Aussies because the whole of the stadium got involved, the English players, the hair was standing up on the back of that, and apparently the Aussies were intimidated by it because they're not used to playing in front of such vociferous vocal.
Because we've got Laura Wright, the other one. We had the other one at the grand final. We've got the other one now. I think is she doing Jerusalem at the...
But Land of Hope and Glory.
It's more bombastic, isn't it?
Yes,
it's more of a,
in your face.
Jerusalem's very... It's a bit abide with me, innit?
It is, which is
Which
has
is
its
fine,
place,
yeah.
historical place. But if you really want to get under the skin of the opposition, then a lion on the touchline and land of hope and glory.
Do I need to get a Union flag waistcoat, even though it's England and not Great Britain?
Again, there's a lot of issue with flags at the moment, isn't there? But I think all of this reclaiming the flag nonsense. What we can do is we can play to our strengths that will get the crowd, really behind creating a great atmosphere at the beginning, and then Reece Walsh will drop the kickoff.
Yeah. Don't say Gert in there, so it's not as good as Advance Australia Fair. But it's got a verse and everything. No one sings the verse. No one does the verses. You just need the chorus bit.
But interesting that did. I mean, it wasn't the reason why we won. That was because Ellery Hanley was a genius, and Gary Schofield wasn't too far behind him. But the interviews afterwards, the Aussies were saying we might have got our team selection a bit wrong by picking 2 scrum halves, but goodness me, that atmosphere really bowled us over, and we didn't really know how to cope with it.
And Wakefield rattled Bobby Fulton before. So
I was there. Well, it was Harry Gray.
Harry Gratian won us the first.
I was there on the pitch when he did it.
That was before my days of rugby league, sadly. But
that was for 13 magazine, which lasted 13 issues.
I bought a box of programmes last week. It was for charity, so that's the justification for buying it. And it had,
in your mind,
in my mind, it had. Well, I don't have to justify to anyone else now. And it had a rugby league newspaper in it, and I can't remember what it was called. But it was again one of these fly-by-night official RFL.
Well, 1990 was almost the peak of rugby league. Not so much newspaper, but magazines, because Rugby League Week in Australia produced a UK version at the same time. League Express hadn't been out that long.
No.
And it seemed like every other day there was a new rugby league. The Rugby League was still in existence. You had a choice on the newsstands of about 4 or 5 different magazines.
And now on the newsstands you've got Forty20 magazine, which I forgot to introduce you as the leading managing editor in the Rugby League, because I can't even say it. I forgot to introduce
Why leading?
Because that's what people call each other.
Oh, I see.
I forgot to introduce you as the leading managing editor of a Rugby League publication, because everyone knows you as that. Everyone says that Phil Kaplan. He's the leading managing editor of a Rugby League publication.
I don't think anybody says.
No, because they don't read that bit. Don't read that bit. I thought, is James here? Was Brian Barwick talking to somebody else? Sorry,
I heard conversation.
Yeah. Magic, no. Yeah. So yeah.
Mind you, it's probably a better conversation downstairs than it's upstairs.
Yes. What else has happened that we don't want to talk about before James comes up? There's a new book. Which has a rugby league...
newish. I mean,
newish.
We've already previewed it in the magazine a couple of months ago, but it is now physically here in this country.
Laura Keats. I can't read upside down.
The Laura Keats from up the street.
And now the light turns on, and it's not about rugby league, but it's
beautifully illustrated.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
But the co-author,
yes,
is Courtney Winfield Hill.
Oh, I remember her. She used to play rugby. Says hello to me occasionally.
Well, now an author with her mother.
And she's actually one of those people who actually writes the books as opposed
yes.
to... Like George Griffin, the new Sheffield Eagles person. He walks up the stairs slowly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, they were like...
Very light on his feet.
Don't say that. We're getting enough trouble as it is, this programme.
I put a jumper on to rival Phil's.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
Was it from 1974?
Knitwear podcast. You don't get this on the bench, do you? You don't have John Wilkin wearing jumpers.
Don't start our discussions by talking about sartorial anywhere else.
How are you, James?
Good, thanks.
We haven't seen you for a while.
No, been busy as ever, but it's not true that I only come for the cookies or on Saturday for the birthday cake. 26
just
years in the shop.
Purely coincidence.
And yeah.
What do we know? What do we know about anything?
Where do we?
Does anything happen?
Not a lot. I only usually come on this to find out what's happening.
Well, I mean that comes after the programme, though, doesn't it? That's the problem there.
We could start with the appointment for the Test series.
No
Chief
surprise.
Australian scapegoat, Liam Moore. Well done.
It's always grand final referees, isn't it? Barring disaster in a grand final. So no surprise there. I fully expected Liam would referee Game 1. It makes it cheaper for the organisers because they don't need to bring an Australian referee over
until next week.
That saves a week's expenses and accommodation and all the rest of it. and they probably didn't want to have an Aussie at all because that would have saved even more money. But the Aussies were never going to tolerate not having an Australian referee involved. So it'll be game 1, game 2, England and Australian referees, and then they'll fight
Choose
it
the
out.
Australian for the third test.
Well, if Australia win game 1 and 2, probably expect Liam to referee game 3.
Slow the Rucks down.
Send him
even
home,
more.
save more money. The Aussie, and if not, it'll be an argument which usually goes that the English vote for the English and the Aussies vote for the Aussies. So who knows who has the casting vote?
International Rugby League, who's that run by? Is it still Troy Grant?
Yeah, but this is a bilateral series, so
It would be
doesn't
between the
involve
nations to
international
decide
rugby league.
themselves, and there's no longer any international appointments officer.
So
I don't
Peter
think.
V'landys will be going, if you want me to give you all this money,
So
Grant
Peter
Atkins.
V'landys versus
Nigel Wood.
Nigel Wood.
That
Not Tim.
That will be a great pre-match entertainment.
Well, Tim says we should.
Boxing ring.
Well, they had
in the middle.
sumo wrestling this weekend,
Yeah,
didn't
what's
they?
it all about? Tim says new Siegfried and Roy, live lions on the pitch. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Like that bull in France. Like that. Yeah.
So in terms of refereeing these games, the contentious part is going to be the speed of the play of the ball. Because if it's at Aussie speed, we might struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
If the Aussies have to play at our speed, they won't be used to it. So if you're Liam, is that an issue? Do you think about stuff like that going into the game? Or?
As Liam Rush refereed Australia, France, was it yesterday or the week? Certainly over the weekend, their scrimmage that they played, he'll have covered off with them laws, interpretations. I think James Vella is visiting this week as well. They'll also
Because he speaks no language.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There'll also be meetings taking place between the respective coaches and the match officials department, and clarifying on rules and usually more interpretation rather than the laws. And the ruck will be the key one.
And Willie Peters will be in there going, lads, I know you're used to playing at 100 mile an hour. Let me explain how Hull KR won a grand final.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. If Liam was to reflect on his performance in the Samoa Test, was it last year, game 1 he refereed? I think the rucks, in my opinion, were too slow in that game. It's a challenge for a referee to try and find a happy medium because nobody wants to go and watch the referee blow a load of penalties and set restarts and whack people in the bin for ruck offences. But ultimately, if that's what the teams are delivering, then that's what they're there to do. So I think he'll have to try and find a happy medium. I think if it was down to England, my guess would be they'd want a slower ruck. Australia will want a faster ruck, so they won't find consensus off field in terms of the meetings. It'll just be down to how he interprets the ruck on the day, and how he manages and sets up players. Because I think that is likely to be the biggest bone of contention across the series.
And presumably that's why they wanted the French in to have opposed training sessions, because we used to have warm-up games, didn't? So like you'd go to Workington on a Sunday afternoon when you arrived, and you would be physically beaten up and play the English rules, which would prepare you 5 games down the line for the first test. But I'm guessing that yes, the French need a bit of a warm-up before they play Jamaica on Saturday. But it's really important for the Aussies, and tells us how seriously they're taking this, that they wanted the French over there to provide opposition.
Yeah, I think any team would want to have a bit of a trial, wouldn't they, before they go in and play a test match, the biggest test match that's been played for 22 years between the two nations. So, yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect. It's a shame it wasn't a proper test. Between
Well, that
the two
was the
nations.
RLPA, and that's why they've had to scale it all back.
But Great Britain, England, whoever they've been, have always been favoured in Test 1, haven't they? On home soil. So it'll be interesting. I know Trent Robinson's come out this week and said he's predicted 3-0 to the Aussies. Shock horror. Australian coach employed in the NRL.
Don't ask me.
French coach.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
French director of rugby.
Don't ask me, because I might get in trouble. If I said 3-0, Sean Wayne might ban me or something. So I don't want to do that.
I think we desperately hope, from the game's point of view, that we can take it to a decider, and the best way to do that is to win at Wembley.
Yeah, agreed. And for the sake of the Test series, although the other 2 games are sold out, to get the coverage, to get the press, to get people buying into it. Not that you should really need to buy into the concept, but yeah, you'd want England as a neutral even to probably win that first test.
So let me explain to the people, because, of course, what happens if it's a draw? What happens if it's a draw? This is from the...
Well, before you get into the logistics of it, is it like the Ryder Cup? Do we have to win the Ashes?
What, do something we haven't done since 1970?
Or can you not have a drawn series, in which case Australia retain the Ashes?
Well, I would have thought so.
Which I would have thought that's how it's always worked.
It has been agreed, says an email from the Rugby Football League, that Golden Point will be available only after the third test of the series at AMT Headingley on November 8th, if it is necessary to determine a winner of the series, rather than the series being shared. Which, again, makes your point.
But the series wouldn't be shared.
If the scores are level at full time with the first and second test, the match will be drawn. If one of the first two tests has been drawn and the scores are level at full time with the third test, Golden Point will not be played. But what if one of the tests ends 18... Right, so Saturday, it's England win, we win, 10 points to 6, and we all go, wow. Second test, Everton, it finishes 18-all. Ooh. What prize am I going to get on these, by the way? Third test, Australia win 16-3.
3?
Yeah. Cheeky drop goal from Michael Lewis.
Just on the half-time.
Yeah. So what happens then? Because then it's a drawn series.
So do you have to have Golden Point at the end of a game where there's a defined winner?
Yeah. I don't know.
No idea.
Why don't you just have Golden Point for all 3 games so that no game can end in a draw?
You'd have thought so. It's been that long since there's been an Ashes series. Probably nobody knows the answer
end in
to
a draw? Are any of them?
But if they did,
if it does, yeah.
You know,
why mention it now?
I don't know. Seems a strange way of determining.
What about the wheelchair Ashes if they end a draw? Are they going to play Golden Point at the end of those? I know it's probably not likely.
Pretty sure that the
But, you know, good luck England. But you know, what if any of these World Cup qualifier games? Well, they can't end in draws, can they? Maybe if it's a draw between Jamaica and France, neither go to the World Cup and you let USA in or South Africa or something. I don't know. Now we've got a debate going on about whether Jerusalem's better than Land of Hope or Glory. So and glory, not all glory. But do we have any hope? Will there be any glory?
I think what's been interesting in the build-up so far has been people who knew what squad Sean Wayne was likely to pick to play the way Sean wants to play, started to get upset because he picked the squad that would allow him to do that.
That was last week's programme. That was all exciting. And Jake Connor, where is he?
I get that he's kept faith in the players that have won him the last 2 series, that he thinks are going to be the players that would have the best chance of winning this series. Even though we follow the game, we may think that's a conservative selection. But I think now it's been selected, I just want to get to Wembley for the first game. Because this always was the pinnacle of the sport, playing Australia. The last time we played them was in a World Cup final in 2017. It's like, how can we have gone so long not playing Australia?
Losing in the last minute at Wembley in 2013.
Yeah.
And all those 4 nations.
And 2022 and all that. But
in fact, the last time that they beat them, although it was Great Britain, I think, was that 2006?
Yeah.
I was on the line for that game, and even that was Great Britain, not England.
But you can't not have these games. That if you're serious about promoting it, I mean, I don't know how many people will watch it on the BBC on Saturday, but I suspect it will be the biggest audience we've had for a very long time for a rugby league game. And then you're going, oh great, well if you liked it, you can have another one next week, and if you really liked it, you could probably have a decider the week after. And it's like, I can't wait. I don't really actually now care who's playing for England or who's been left out.
It's irrelevant.
You can't change it.
They just need to win.
No,
simple as that.
Because I think we can spend a whole programme debating whether Harry Smith's worthy of playing or whether AJ Brimson, has too much of a Australian looking haircut. But the fact is, we want to see this game. I want to get incredibly excited driving down to Wembley on
What if he
Saturday.
copied Reece Walsh and wore nail polish? Would that be
I want to see Reece Walsh live. I want the world to see that we can produce star names that can rank with anyone from any other sport. So it's incredibly exciting.
So this shirt behind James, which is an England shirt, and it has the number 7 on the back of it. Who's going to be wearing that on... not this one, obviously. Who's going to be wearing this on
I'm pretty sure it will be Harry Smith.
Yeah. I can't see him not going for Smith and Williams as his pairing.
I think Mikey's got a claim because of the way he's played this year, but I don't think Sean Wayne sees him as a starting player.
No.
And I think what he'll want to do, particularly in the first half, is he'll want to control the game and where it's played, and he'll feel that he can do that best by playing Williams and Smith. Now, whether we agree with that or not, actually, I've now gone past the point of it's been selected. I don't care. John Bateman plays, doesn't play, if he's in the centre, if he's in the second row or carrying the water. I now just want to see the game. I want to see those iconic kits walking out.
The analysis will come after the third test at Headingley when we know what the series is.
My only worry is I think the Australian game has moved on. So I think Michael Maguire, who Sean Wayne looks like he's something of a disciple of, brought in the wrestle when he was at Wigan. And it was incredibly successful.
Well, it was nice of the England to put out that on Twitter, wasn't it? Here's the lads doing some wrestling. Yeah.
And I get that, and I get that the basis of Sean Wayne's philosophy is still linked and tied up with that. But Michael Maguire is the coach of Brisbane who just won the grand final by playing some of the most open and eyes-up rugby that we've seen for years. So the game in Australia has moved on. And what we'll see from a Sean Wayne team is whether we've moved on. Or whether we can counter that. And I don't know. And that's, again, now is one of the exciting things that we're 5 days away from finding out. And then, if it doesn't work in the first test, how does Sean Wayne change it in the second test? And all of that, that's for debate when we've seen 80 minutes of rugby at Wembley on Saturday.
Is this England's first game at Wembley since that semi-final? I know there's been 4 nations. There was the England game at the Olympic Stadium, which was terrible.
That was the New Zealand game when it was at 9-2 or something, one of the worst games ever.
But I don't think we've been back to Wembley since that semi-final.
No, I don't think so.
And that feels like a long time as well.
It was.
I was on the line for that.
That's before this podcast started. This podcast has been going too long.
Talking of heartbreaking moments, there was one.
There was one. Lewis and Williams will start, says Ulysses, who seems to have the inside track here because Ulysses, they say, Harry Smith hasn't been training at 7 for England. Who is Ulysses, dude? Is it Sean Wayne? Maybe it's Sean Wayne.
Wow.
Sean, good luck.
Well, again, I think that would... A lot of England fans who have been concerned that maybe Harry Smith perhaps hadn't hit his best form, grand final try apart. That Wigan, it absolutely dominant this time last year. Totally deserved his place, not as dominant this year. Presumably that would mean Mikey Lewis as well will become the goal kicker.
But if he's not been training at 7, where has he been training?
Where
else you play him?
You can't believe everything you read on the internet, though.
No.
So it's good to see all that publicity for Sale Sharks though last week. Good for them.
I'd be surprised if he departs from Smith and Williams, but.
Well, we all will be, won't we? We've all trained our brains to think we know how Sean Wayne's going to play,
and he's not going to give anything away before that team.
So tomorrow,
an hour before kick-off.
So tomorrow at Wembley, when they do their joint press conference thing, he's not going to tell us the 13.
No, but I think Australia might name their team. I think
is that a bit of
gamesmanship? There's a bit of psychology going on.
Psychology.
I think that Kevin.
We don't believe in psychology. We don't believe in any of that nonsense, mumbo jumbo.
I think Kevin Walters is going to say, "This is my team. Here are my debutants. Reece Walsh gets the nod ahead of Dylan Walker. Dylan Edwards. Dylan Rabbit from Magic Roundabout.
60 years old.
And I don't think they care. I think they were talking about maybe Shibasaki was going to make his debut in the centres as well. Who, as we said last week, it's another great story. Somebody who didn't have a contract 2 years ago is now going to be putting on the green and gold.
Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung. We're not buying into this psychology stuff. Although, I can imagine Sean Wayne would like the Stanford prison study. Got an A-level and everything. Got an E. Thoughts on the lovely kit announced at the weekend for the third test, the red one based on the poppy. What I think, Neil, is it's interesting because the wars, the world wars, the big ones. I know the poppy's about all service people and all that, but the wars were like long ago. And if you look through history, the recent history of these things, it's only up until the late 90s, early 2000s that poppies became a thing in sport, other than just, obviously the silence on Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday. But they didn't used to be a thing in sport. You can look through many a programme. I could go through on my computer now and find one from the 11th of November in the olden days. In fact, I will do that to prove the point. And there was nothing about it. So it's very strange how it's become a thing in modern times. I don't really understand. Well, I do understand why. Of course I understand why, because we all understand why, don't we? But I guess they need another kit because we're using the same kit as last year, haven't we?
Well,
so you can only sell it so often.
They did say it was a 2-year kit, but it looks tremendous. It'd be great to win a series in that red kit.
Doncaster versus Trafford Borough from the 11th of the 11th, 1990. Is there any reference to Remembrance Sunday in this? I'm going to assume no. Dean Sampson. Dave Sampson doesn't mention it.
I remember doing a test England New Zealand at Hull FC, and we had to iron on a poppy onto the shirt, whatever year that would be. You remember what year that was? So it's certainly, and England would have been, I think it was Ryan Hall scored in the corner. I remember that because I was on his line, but they didn't have a special kit then.
Was that the one where Radio Homicide spilt hot chocolate on me?
It was the Four Nations, I think.
Not that you've never ever forgiven them.
Not more anti-BBC. No. But it's a lovely looking kit. I just question but hey, if you want to, I say this with every charity kit, if you want to support the charity, rather than spend 50 quid on a shirt, of which 5 goes to the charity, just give the 5 to the charity.
Or give the 50.
Or give the 50. It doesn't, it's daft, isn't it? If you're doing something for charity, give all the profit to charity. Or, it seems a bit, we're doing this for charity, but we're still going to take a profit. Well,
so I think next week's programme will be the one to analyse if Sean got it right or wrong.
Wayne out. Aussies are best of us.
We're
not going to bother going to Everton now.
I think the other interesting thing is that clearly some nations, in all the internationals we've been talking about, and even the Australians who bought some new players over, they're looking a little bit at the 2026 World Cup, which, as we said, has been reduced in the number of nations playing, which increases the opportunity for a change of the guard, because we've seen that the Pacific nations in particular are getting immeasurably stronger. We haven't, really. We've gone for, we want a team that we think can win over the next 3 weeks, and whatever happens in the World Cup, that's to look at next year.
Our wheelchair team has. From the women's Origin games at the weekend, I said it last week. We brought Amy Hardcastle back in after she'd been injured all season. But what's the point of that? They're picking a 30-woman squad because Emily Rudd said it on her Instagram.
Well, it must be true.
Yeah. So and then it's going to.
But it's interesting that we're making no concession to what might be coming down the road. We just want to win.
Yeah, but that's
ahead of us.
That is absolutely right. This tournament's the biggest tournament since they probably last played each other in a national series. So it is right. They need to win this tournament. Forget the World Cup. That'll happen next year.
Yeah.
3 games at the end of the day, isn't it? If they lose the first 2, he can rotate a little bit with the rest of his squad in the final.
But the other thing about that is how many games he's going to have before the World Cup.
Well, they probably won't have any.
0.
So if these are the only 3 games he's got, do we need to look at a couple of up and coming players? Which does Harry Robertson, should he be in the 24, even though he might not play? So he's around that elite environment.
I don't think it makes much difference. They'll have training camps next year leading to the World Cup and things like that. They ideally should be playing mid-season test, shouldn't they?
Off feet, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But they should at least be playing France, shouldn't they? Just as a warm-up game for the World Cup.
You'd think so.
Ian says, can you come up with some more Dylans? That was his favourite part of the programme so far. So we'll see what happens at Wembley on Saturday. And
Bob.
It'll be interesting. Bob. Short for Kate, yeah. It'd be interesting. Oh no, Kate's short for Bob, isn't it? It's the other way around. Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. We're going to be there, and we'll probably do something live there because John Davidson will bully us into it. And it will be fascinating. And why are people moaning, by the way, that they're going to give away some tickets to people who work in the NHS in London? It's not going to sell out.
I think there was one person who admitted today that they got that wrong.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for that man actually because it's spiralled out of control.
Talking of pylons, that was the biggest one. But he admitted today. Yeah. He got it wrong, which is fine. I think when you've already got what? How many does Everton hold? Is that 55?
Not sure.
And Headingley holds 20. These are generalisations, so that's 75. We're talking about at least 55 we know have been sold. I think it'd be up to 60, maybe 65.
I think so, yeah.
You're talking about a hell of a lot of eyes on the sport.
53, just about.
So to round it up, you're talking about a lot of eyes on the sport. We're talking about the most commercial sponsors we've had for a while. The RFL put that out last week, that companies have come on board and they've filled up the England shirt with.
Have they asked Mr. and Mr. Child yet if you want to sponsor the?
We don't do sponsorship.
It's massive, isn't it? We're going to get the eyeballs on it on BBC One. You're right in the respect that nothing else matters than what we've got in front of us. But I do think other nations have seen the need to build a little bit towards what's coming.
I'm not sure what you take out of throwing a young kid into a squad and then doesn't play them. I mean, he flew somebody. Who was it? Was it Ray Bennett that flew Ash Handley out to the side?
Only halfway.
Wayne Bennett's the greatest coach ever.
They should know the players well enough with all the team that they've got and the work that they do around stats and watching.
I just think it's a different environment because the young kids are used to their club coach and their way of doing things.
It is.
And spending all day every day with that coach.
But then going away for 6 weeks to Australia is also different. So,
but sitting in that camp for 3 weeks and seeing how it's done a different way. Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're going to Wembley.
Does avoiding an Aussie whitewash constitute success for England? Says Ulysses. We're going to win.
You can't say that, can you? You get trounced in games 1 and 2, and then win the third. So nobody cares.
Well, that's a very cricket.
That happened in 1988, didn't it? Because the third test was designated.
Now it was 5, was it?
Well, it's the famous win in Sydney where Mike Gregory scores the length of the field try. Okay. But the third game was designated as a World Cup game, so we got beaten in the first 2, but the third still had some meaning.
Classic rugby league, convoluted. Let's have a convoluted structure.
He got us into the 1992 World Cup final at Wembley,
which we lost.
But 73,000 people turned up.
It is the results, but it's also the performance as well. I think if the pressure in some ways, I think, is on England in this Wembley game.
I don't
until
think
we sing Land and Hope.
It's about performance because nobody remembers the 6-0 game that we lost in the World Cup final. They just remember one ankle tap.
Yeah, I know that, but that's why I'm saying it's a combination of both. So they need to win match 1.
I'd be happy if we win 2-0 on Saturday. Yeah. I don't care what it looks like. I mean, I do because I want the nation to top the headlines and people say, "Oh, I must tune in if I can't now get a ticket next week." But I think merely winning will give us what we want, and that is like paramount for Saturday.
So Great Britain prepared for that World Cup final in 1992 by the week before Wigan playing St Helens in the Lancashire Cup final. There weren't many Wakefield or Sheffield Eagles players in, so it didn't really matter. We'll get Scully's diary back out for next week.
Well, yes, he ended up being captain.
Yeah.
Because Ellery wasn't fit.
No. And another one of those nearly...
well,
Funny being Welsh in 95.
We need to turn those nearlies into actuals.
Yeah.
Saturday, BBC One. If you can't be there, watch it on the telly.
Talking of the betting, what is the betting? You'd look.
Well, yes.
Because it must be difficult in some ways to predict because they've not played each other.
There's no form line.
They don't really play anyway that much in any event. But I'd just be interested to see what won the handicap.
I think they were -10 the other day, and they are currently, let's have a look, around the 10 or 12 mark. So
it's quite a margin, that actually, isn't it? It's quite a margin.
Yeah.
I'm not a betting man at all.
Yeah, you're looking around 12. There you go, 12. Australia -12. So it has gone up a little bit. I don't know.
That doesn't give England much hope, does it? And if it's that in Test 1, I wonder what the odds are across
if it was
the series.
10 earlier before the squads were announced, people have obviously backed Australia knowing what the squads were, even though there's no surprise in the squad. Like I always say, when the Greyhounds were around, they don't know what the odds are. So Sean Wynne won't be telling them.
The reality is everybody will know more after Test 1 as to where the series is heading.
Interesting. Is there special award for the player of the series, like they did for Samoa, but not like they did for Tonga, but not Samoa.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Who would you name it after? It was a great Englishman, because it can't get me to a Welshman now.
Well, Alan Prescott, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, depends.
The Prescott.
I love linking back to you know,
licking toilets.
Rorke's Drift and all that kind of.
Where am I going with this?
Oh, it's been a day for spoonerisms. It's been a strange day. Thankfully, mine was off air, so that was good. So the test matches are coming. We'll be there. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're on the radio. I'm assuming they will be somehow. But if you can get there, get there. If you can't, watch it on the telly and then moan about it on the BBC. Have your say bit. So that'd be good.
James Graham on the BBC coverage will be excellent. I think.
Yes, he'll be better than some of the other people we've got.
Well, it's more that he's got that direct insight of.
I found another Australian, an actual Australian.
Well, we don't. We have Australians on our.
I know Robbie Pole's near enough, but he's not.
What,
Australian.
transfer Jenna Brooks over to.
I know you should put a picture of her in the magazine and not Brian Carney for the awards.
There's a lot of Australian ex-players coming over who are doing speaking tours.
Podcasts
Andrew Johns and William
How to get an
Mason.
all expenses paid trip.
Yeah.
Do lots of talks.
Justin Horro. Well, he's not Australian.
You should be doing a library tour with the podcast.
Well, if someone paid us, we would.
Wembley.
Yeah, if someone paid us, we
Liverpool.
would.
To be honest, we're going to be there. If anybody wants us
You're doing Leeds.
if anybody wants us to go into a library beforehand, we're happy to do that.
It's a bit late to book us now. I'm
Well, no,
working
it is.
Friday.
No, it is.
I can't. I can't go
morning.
work on Friday. Yeah, it's
Sunday
Saturday work Friday.
Wimbledon Library.
We call Dickie and
Wembley
stuff.
Library.
Yeah. Am I working the week? I think I've got the day off before Liverpool. Oh, no, I'm filming something else. It's a special project for the programme.
So the question
is that all the internationals now?
Well, I was going to say it sort of links in,
Right.
but moves us somewhere else.
Right.
We've got a test match in London.
Yep.
We're going to get approximately 60,000 people there.
Yep.
We're being told that a big percentage of the tickets sold are people in London and the south.
London. Yeah.
Don't think it's half. I think it might be nearer 15 or 20%. But we haven't put London in Super League. So I'm not saying that would have been justification for doing it, but it leaps us into the decision was made. Was it the right decision? Was it even strategy? Where do we go from here?
Remind me that we've got to talk about coaches because we haven't talked about them yet. Because we need to talk about
what St Helens have got a new one.
And Warrington's new future coach as well. And other matters. But yes, so it's announced. We know who the 14 teams in Super League are. Brilliantly, it was spread over 2 days. You know what's funny is, someone told me a good couple of months ago that Bradford were 10th. Now, I don't know how they knew that because the
Even
IMG...
Bradford didn't know.
Yeah, the IMG thing was secret and all that. And you had to, so I don't know how they knew that. And then it turns out they were, which is funny.
Coincidental.
And then York and Toulouse got let in the net there, so that's good.
So we went with the 14 graded teams.
So it was all point. You should have said to Lord Kane on Saturday when you saw him, what a racket that was, Lord Kane, because you just picked the two teams who finished 13th and 14th in the IMG rankings.
He said he couldn't go much beyond that.
No.
Because they...
Well, it's confidential stuff, that's understandable.
No, but he said the thinking behind it, as far as I can gather, is that London's takeover hasn't happened yet.
Exactly.
It legally or in terms of finance. So a lot of noise being made over there about what they can do and what they can't do and what they're going to do and who they're going to bring.
Exactly.
But when you're sitting there on a commission to decide, you are looking at virtually a blank sheet of paper, and they are so scared by what has happened to Salford and allowing somebody in without supposedly doing sufficient financial due diligence as far as the public are concerned, that they weren't going to take that risk.
But Darren Lockyer's famous. I've seen him on the telly and everything. I've heard of him.
But the reason I asked the
got a
question
collection of
about we're having a test match at Wembley, we're inviting people who perhaps aren't as familiar with the game as others to become involved, but then they don't go and see it at elite. You can't translate that into anything at elite level. My argument is not whether London should be in or not. I'm not bothered. I think there's a really interesting alternative scenario at play involving the NRL who would want London involved. And that's the point I was making when it was announced.
Have
that,
sorry.
just say, what we're seeing at the moment may not be what the ultimate end game is. And London not being in as of today might not mean London not being in.
And as we've fallen out with the French, did the NRL, or did Australia, sorry, because they're not the NRL, having their scrimmage with the French, was that must be good for their relations?
No, there is there are ongoing talks with the French Federation about how to make their competition stronger. So they've started that themselves by moving to whatever they want to call Super 13. But the NRL clearly are interested in helping the French become a greater force for us to play, but also domestically. But the point is, I heard a lot of people on social media after it was decided who the 14 were, saying it'll do London the world of good to spend a season in the Championship.
Battering everyone 70-0, yeah.
Go full time.
Yeah.
And that will prepare them for coming into Super League.
How are they getting into
Loads
Super
of people were saying that.
How are they getting into Super League?
That's the missing question.
Because if we're going to have 14 next year, it's going to be the top 14, I assume.
Or is it?
Well, I mean, I said this now, and then in June we'll change it.
The problem is
September they'll change
what's been decided is
Probably not.
again short-termism. We know what is happening, we think, in 2026, and this is without talking about what the NRL may or may not want to do. What we don't know is
Wigan.
the process. Well, I think Wigan are the NRL's emissaries.
Okay.
The process for how you get into Super League in 2027, be it London, Batley, Goole, nobody knows.
Right, so you say we know what's happening in 2026. We don't know what's happening in 2026.
Well, we don't know what's happening below Super League.
No, well, no, we don't know what's happening in Super League because neither of us went on the media call with Tony Sutton, so that's our fault. But it's been reported.
We had emissaries on it.
It's been reported by some Australian fella that Tony Sutton, who's the CEO of the Rugby Football League, who's leaving his role, isn't he?
I think that was his last public.
Right. So, what's the point of him doing the call? Because he's not running the bloody thing. We know who's running the bloody thing.
Because he was involved in the commission that chose the two.
It doesn't matter. We know who's running the thing, so get him on the call. He told the media that we don't know what the format is for Super League this year, in 2026. We don't know if it's a 16 playoff or an 18 playoff. How? When did we find out how many teams were in Super League? Was it June,
July.
Because you were in. It might be the last time you were in.
How many teams may?
Maybe. Right.
No, it was always going to be.
So, right, if we had 12 or 13 or 14, which were the three possible options, we could have planned for how Super League was going to run the playoffs. That's just one part of it. For 12, 13 or 14 teams. Or Magic Weekend, which we don't know about. Or whatever. So how can we have got to this point where we know which 14 teams are in the competition, but we don't know how we're going to run the playoffs?
Well, I think that more importantly is, London don't know what they're in. They know they're in a competition below Super League.
Yeah, what is the
but they don't know what it looks like. So they're going to walk through something they don't even know what it is yet. But if it becomes... Because apparently now the next board meeting is in December. And December's going to... or the council meeting, maybe not board meeting. And that's going to decide, because the RFL look after the championship, the mechanism by which teams are going to be promoted or other outside of the championship. So it could well be that we ditch the RMG gradings and we go back to straight promotion relegation, which raises the... So London then know that they have to win the championship. But that raises the question, who gets relegated?
But, yeah,
and if it's Toulouse and they've been in there for 1 year, or if it's York and they've been in there for 1 year, or if it's Bradford and they've been in there for 1 year, how does that help? Because that's not strategy. We've seen Toulouse in Super League for 1 year and it didn't work.
Where is the strategic review?
Well, that's now not reporting until this December meeting, I don't think.
Why? I know I'm asking you this as if you know. You don't know.
Well, I suspect they haven't got sufficient findings to be able to present to the clubs.
Why? They've had months.
Because they ditched James.
Why? Well, yes, they got rid of James. Sorry. Why? Why? Why?
They made decisions around the structure of the competition without a load of data, supposedly. So are they going to have the data to make the decisions?
Why are we at this point where the domestic season has finished? It's over. It's done. But we don't know what's going to happen in 2026. Now, football's having this conversation at the moment where they don't know what the championship playoffs are going to be to get into the Premier League from next season. But it's not next. We're still in the early stages. This is, and it doesn't really matter until we don't know what's going on.
What worries me is we've gone through this ridiculous convoluted process where 12 teams are going to get enough right.
Brian Carney had to go on Sky Sports News 2 days in a row to say, yeah, it's great.
13 and 14 is going to be selected by a panel, but that might be a one-off. Well, like, what is the process for determining? You cannot change Super League annually and how you get in and how you get out. And I get it's all tied into the next TV deal, which is the end of 2026, and how much money we get will determine perhaps how many teams we have and how we get to the teams that we have. And there's something in a minute I want to talk about economics about this as well. But what I think was the most disappointing thing of this whole process is it literally is, here's today's.
It's fag packet.
And it's like, that's not strategy. How many times have we said we need a 3, 5, 10-year plan, and you need to ring fence new teams and new markets that can, well done, you picked Toulouse. You mainly picked Toulouse because they won the championship, and you couldn't go back on. They've ticked every box, and they're saying that they'll pay for everything.
And they'll pay for everything.
So oh well, grudgingly we'll put them in. You put York in, fine. You've looked at the the projection of York. You put Bradford back in, fine. Whatever is the process that you're going through, fine. But you might ditch it all in December.
It still comes back to the point that for all the conspiracy theorists around the panel and all the rest, ultimately they've just gone with what looks like they've just gone with the IMG,
and that's what they have done.
And it's like, well, why did you even create this panel? Why not just beef up the financial assessment under the IMG?
But financial assessment doesn't work because you're a year behind, because you don't have to put your accounts for
this year.
Yeah,
because Salford's accounts are still...
Salford's still got credit.
Yeah.
But the other thing I think, and it relates to accounts and finance, and this is the bit that I don't understand, and it's nothing to do with the clubs that are in, is we have said we want 14 teams to be competitive.
They won't be.
And we want 14 teams to give us a level of competition where everybody has an equal chance, but you're bringing in 2 teams that are getting half as much money as everybody else.
And then what about the dispensation on the cap this week? That if you give players to other teams within the Super League,
at the moment that hasn't been confirmed.
Who do you want to give up from your club? Let us know. But hang on, I'll be Carl Fitzpatrick and you be Jodie Cunningham, and that's very unfair on Jodie.
I don't think she'd wear a jumper like this.
Do you like loop fixtures, Phil?
I love them.
Do you like loop fixtures?
No, I hate them. Everybody hates them. That's the reason.
Well, that's all we needed to do. So it's all right.
But I just don't get this. We want to be more competitive, but we're going to bring new teams into the league who, by virtue of being new teams, are less competitive. But we're going to harm them by only giving them half the money. And then we get Toulouse saying, well, we'll pay for everything and we'll take half the money, but we will come in because we need to be in, we have to be in, this is what we built up for. You get York saying, oh, well, we didn't intend getting any central funding, so whatever we get, is a
Where's they found this money from?
It doesn't matter. It's like, it's wrong. It's absolutely, completely and utterly wrong.
Particularly if you're only in for 12 months, and then you go. I mean,
either have an IMG system and grading and stick with it for long enough. I mean, we've got 9 Grade A clubs now, which we didn't have when we started doing this. All our metrics are up. Our digital, our crowds, people watching on telly. The Aussies were at the NFL yesterday, which was arranged by IMG as well. So it's like, you can criticise IMG for what you want, but what they were there to do, we're reaping the rewards of.
Well, I don't think you can criticise IMG.
So
I think you criticise the clubs.
Why the hell are we moving away from, if you're going with the 14, that's fine. So how are London going to know if they walk through the championship, if we're staying with 14, that they will be in Super League next year?
How can any championship team sell season tickets at the moment? I know this is a very base thing, but it's a lot of income for the clubs, isn't it? Because they don't get telly money. So if I'm South Wales, because they don't exist, West Wales, how do I sell season tickets to people? Because you don't know how many teams are going to play, or who they're going to play.
How do you recruit? Do you recruit because do you want to be full time? Do you want to be part? How do you make a division now in the Championship where it's already said that London are going to have Reagan Campbell-Gillard, Sevilla Havili,
play some young lads. From
Jason Demetriou is going to be coached. There's other players that they want to bring in.
potentially playing Newcastle.
Potentially playing Gould.
with and of course, as we know from when Toronto came in, the cap doesn't the cap's the same, isn't it? It's still whatever the cap is.
I just don't think.
Well, I don't
what
think
we've
they've come
done
to a
is
conclusion, have they?
strategy.
The clubs couldn't decide amongst themselves, the Championship clubs, what they wanted it to be.
No. So the question that overrides all of this is that we have put a sticking plaster on something that has been a gaping wound since 1970, and we've known what we need to do. And great, Wakefield are the first, I think, Super League team to put season tickets on offer, and there's some link with Dewsbury there about if you're a Dewsbury fan. Yeah, great. And if we're going to get that, then we're moving down the road of feeder clubs, dare I say, which again will determine the structure of competitions, because I think you could say from that we don't expect Dewsbury to be in Super League in the near future, and they're creating a community identity for themselves which is sustainable. Brilliant. That's all part of a strategy. I don't understand why we're going down this road when there is a potential alternative model out there that might financially save the game. It's going to inconvenience some clubs because they're not going to be in it to start with. But we're almost, and we can talk about private equity if you want, but
that's a smoke screen.
We're almost going to sit round a table in a potential negotiation, whoever is doing it, about what this game could look like going forward, where it's commercially and broadcasting attractive, where the model that the potential partner we could go with has a view that is diametrically opposed to what we're doing at the moment. And London is the catalyst for all of this. That, you know, Darren Lockyer is not going to invest his money in something where he doesn't think he can get a return. Darren Lockyer being linked to Brisbane Broncos, who were the catalyst behind the ARL Super League war in Australia, that are very, very, you know, they're the best supported club. The shares are the highest in the NRL. They're very close to broadcasters. It was Rupert Murdoch that saw that Brisbane was the avenue by which he could get involved in all of this. They're clearly very close to Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo. I'm not saying that he's been told what is going to happen, but I think he would have asked the question, if I go down this road, do you think it's a wise investment? And I think they would have said, if we can engineer it, yes it is.
Well,
we've not met them halfway.
Well, you haven't mentioned what your alternative model is, but
it's the NRL coming in whereby they value London. They also value France, either in their own competition if they think it's going to be competitive, or in a joint competition. I think ideally, if they felt that Catalan and Toulouse could go into a French competition and they wouldn't win every game, that would be a 10-team competition that would be great to support, but the 8 below them, the gap's too wide. Yeah. So at the moment, I think they would say, we would want ideally a 10-team competition. I don't think they're fixed on 10. I think there's negotiation that you could have there. But what we really want is, we want these 2 French teams, but we want them ring fenced, and we want London, and that's our starting point for, like, we've got a poker hand here. It's got 4 aces in it. You've got a poker hand that you've just put 1 2 in it because you mentioned private equity. So at the moment, if we are getting round the table,
well, that's not stupid.
Well, it won't.
Well,
the clubs won't. The top clubs will not vote for private equity.
No, they've already been down that road.
So why has that story got out?
Because they're
because they want it to get out.
Yeah, because they're going to go into a negotiation whereby they have very little to offer.
Yeah.
You know, the Middle East market, not going to happen.
No.
Was never going to happen.
Again, this Rugby 360 thing, again, it's nonsense.
The American investors, if it's private equity, not going to happen. So we are left with, if we seriously want to salvage the best we can, bearing in mind that we've got a TV deal at the end of 26, they've got a TV deal at the end of 27, they are ridiculously cash rich at the moment. And they want to invest it over. It's not like it's a hostile takeover. At the moment, they want to invest. They want to get round a table and say, right, if we are going to put money into your competition, we want some say in what it looks like, because it's got to tie in with our competition, and internationals are really important as well.
And so presumably their TV deal, though, that's what it must come back to. It all has to come back to the TV deal.
We said it the other week, and you know, they want to be able to go to a broadcaster and say, we can offer you games time zone wise from Thursday night through to Sunday early evening across the world. So you might start with the Northern Hemisphere games, which they can still kick off on Friday night, but in your territory, America or wherever, it might be Thursday night. And we'll roll you through, some games in France that might be played, maybe Saturday your time through to NRL games that end with the Sunday afternoon game or whatever. But what they want to do is go to multiple broadcasters and say you can even cut up the pie if you want, but what we're offering you is a global offering.
I'm going to assume that at some point in the next 3 weeks, Peter V'landys will be on podcasts over here. Probably not this one, I don't know, but
I'm not sure he will until he's ready to have something to say. I think.
You think he's smarter than a lot of people over here?
Why would you? What's to be gained by speaking to a podcast? I don't think he will. I just think they'll keep it behind closed doors.
The most important meeting he's going to have is with Mike Danson.
Yeah.
Not the current Czech.
Well,
whatever.
Again,
clubs hold the power here, so
yes.
it doesn't
Why
matter.
everyone keep saying?
Doesn't matter who is in charge.
But the clubs are not united.
No, of course they're not. They never have been and never will be.
And the owners of the...
But money will bring them united.
Yes, the owner of the major clubs who are putting in the most, arguably £1.5 million every year, will see what has happened in the NRL over the last, certainly 5 years of the V'landys reign. But even going back to when the ARLC was formed, which is now 15 years ago, and the trajectory of that competition has just gone upwards. The shares in the clubs in the NRL are worth a hell of a lot more than they were, and most of that has happened over post-COVID, because they made a decision that we went very, very close to going bust because we didn't have any assets. We built from a very low base, but what we've done is we've made sure that we have invested in properties that we can sell. So Origin now is the biggest selling broadcast.
And he said it's going to New Zealand.
But what a smart way of using that money, by the way, instead of just dishing it out to the clubs, to actually invest it in something that can produce a profit from a completely different sector.
Well,
not be solely reliant on TV money.
And as we said, they've already got their first broadcast deal for the World Cup, which is 12 million Australian dollars for the home rights for their World Cup. They've never had that amount of money before. So they've seen...
Because the value's there now, isn't it?
And the Ashes is going to... Whatever the result, and England win... The value of International Rugby League as part of this programme that we've been talking about is potentially huge. You again have got, when the domestic season's finished, a month of playing matches all around the world between nations who are of similar standard, and broadcasters going, I'll have some of that. And I think V'landys can see that bigger picture, because as we've said, he's virtually at saturation point where he is. They're now resorting to buying hotels and airplanes.
And they're buying half of Papua New Guinea, Port Moresby, so they can build their...
Which is fantastic, because it's an asset. As you know, property is an asset. But if they can regenerate a competition over here, then you've got to at least sit down with them and say, we might not agree with everything you put on the table, first of all. We might want more than 10 teams, because I think we've got 12 that are pretty good. But we will listen to you about who those 12 should be. And I think the owners of the top 5 or 6 clubs over here who are putting in the most money will want to talk to them.
Well, as Gav's pointed out, talking about when the Hearns Matchroom were nearly involved, and the idea is, just give us, just make us some money, and that's the thing, isn't it? We don't want to give anything up, but we want more money for no more effort.
If you're the owner of a major club, and we'll let the viewers decide what major means, but clearly, let's say the top 6 without identifying who they are, and you're a very successful business person in other spheres, and what you do when you invest in something is look at projected income down the line. You don't expect to put in £1 today and get £2 out tomorrow. It just doesn't work like that. And they haven't built up their million-billion pound businesses. That that your business will not touch £1 billion turnover.
I don't think it ever will.
2 weeks after you've set it up. Yeah. You plan for getting your return at some point, and there at the moment are looking down a tunnel that says there is not only no return, but you are putting in £1.5 million every year. And if we get a better broadcast deal and it's just a solely domestic deal, it's not going to make any difference to you. Because if we can get the same, we've done all right. If we can get a little bit more, we've done okay. But you're still going to be putting in £1.5 million. If they've got somebody coming along and whispering in their ear and saying, forget putting in that £1.5 million straight away, but 5 years down the line you could be taking out £1.5 million, they're going, who do I need to speak to? And that's nothing to do with the RFL, who's in charge of it at the moment. They cannot offer that.
No. And I think this is where it comes unstuck with the 14, that if in 9 months' time when they're negotiating this new TV deal, if there's no more money on the table, what happens then?
But why would there be more money on the table unless you've got competing broadcasters?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So I think these clubs have taken it on for a year on the basis of the current deal, but then that pie then needs to be shared equally in 12 months' time. And the clubs that have voted to bring these clubs in to reduce loop fixtures are the likes of Wigan v Saints that sells out 20,000 seats against
100%.
Saints v Toulouse that won't bring anybody.
And the other thing as well about all of that is part of the funding for the new clubs coming in is out of the profit that they already know they're going to make from this Ashes series. There is no Ashes series next year. We're going down under to a World Cup. So
don't worry about that. Don't worry about next year.
No, but you can't bring in that level of income to even share with.
Well, the last World Cup in Australia, I think, lost money, didn't it?
So even if this doesn't, it doesn't all come back to the RFL. In fact, a very, very small proportion comes. Most of it goes to the IRL.
Yeah.
Which is, it should do. It's their property.
Yeah. It's not a tournament between two nations as this is.
So I think in terms of what may happen going forward, what we've seen with the convoluted way of we've got to 14 teams might turn out to be irrelevant anyway.
I'll come to Robbie's questions in a moment, because we've got 14 teams in Super League.
We have.
Which we got emails all through us. Big announcement on Thursday, 10 o'clock. It's going to be on Sky Sports News, blah, 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 or whatever we're going to do. I can't remember. We're going to tell you at 10 o'clock on Thursday anyway. There was nothing embargoed. There was no embargoed. You didn't get one because you're more important than me. You'd have got an embargoed email if there was.
The clubs got it 24 hours before. Nobody else did.
So
as far as I know.
No. Well, I didn't.
No, but I don't think there was any intention of releasing it under embargo
until 10 o'clock.
It was the clubs got it so that they could react to
and they could get their social media and look at us, we're great here, yay! Okay, now they've won all the trophies and now they've won this. So on Wednesday, when you and I and everyone else read that Bradford will win Super League, someone within the sport leaked that information out. Because it wasn't told, the media, the rugby league media, whatever you think of them, some are all right, some are worse, did not know which 14 teams were in Super League. And I'm talking like Steve, our director of the camera, until Thursday at 10 o'clock when we got the email. And I read it and got, oh, right. So someone leaked. Now, Rugby League, which seems to, and again, I don't know how we've got the bloody time to do anything. We don't know what the format is for next year in Super League. We don't know what the championship is. Yet we're having an independent investigation to an owner having a hissy fit on social media. We can do that. And we've got somebody else within the sport, and it's obviously from one of 12 or 14, well, 12 teams, because the other two didn't know. Someone from one of 12 clubs telling journalists who's in Super League.
And it's not the fault of the journalist.
No. So where's the investigation into that?
In fact, the journalist deserves credit for getting that information.
So where?
But the leak is within the organisation.
So the chief executive, not the chief executive, what's his job title? He's got a stupid job title. Executive chairman of the Rugby Football League released a statement last week saying we're going to look into the ticketing fiasco between Lee and Wigan, which there wasn't one. And yet, someone within the sport is undermining the sport, and their announcement, big publicity, 10 o'clock, Thursday, Bradford are in Super League. No, because we were on the other day before, because someone in the sport has leaked that information out. Where's the investigation into that?
Happens all
Get
the
Lord
time.
Cainback. I know it does. But where's... We can't have investigations into nonsense and then people leaking things. No, it's all right. Just let them do whatever they want. And that's the problem in Rugby League, is because we let things fester and go on too long, and then they become a problem. And we haven't solved the problems out.
That'd be the strategy then for this one.
Did you get that off your chest?
Yeah. Robbie Rhino's been on, which is bad news for Ronnie because you're going to have to pay maintenance now.
Robbie Rhino?
Yeah.
Is he one of the illegitimate offspring?
No, the ones that were killed off that we don't know about yet.
When Gary leaves Headingley, they'll be found under the patio.
He's asked loads of questions. Have you heard what's happening? What's going to replace Magic Weekend? I thought we're still having Magic Weekend.
Nobody
aren't we?
knows.
But we're not having loot fixtures, but we are having Magic Weekend.
Do you think the possibility of state of origin over here, if they could make money,
Yes.
they would play it well?
Yes, I think one of the reasons it's going to New Zealand is to test the overseas market, but also to expand their broadcast market. I don't think they've made any secret of the fact that Origin is now so big they can take it out of the domestic contract and sell it separately. To do that and to pay for that, you need more broadcasters coming in. Well, if you start taking it to England and Sky Sports say, well, we'll pay a little bit more for that because it now has premium value rather than just buy it as part of an NRL package. It's not in that package anymore, or whoever it might, DAZN or whoever it might be. Then yes, absolutely, it's not going to come here in the foreseeable future. It might be. They might be looking at, well, we've got this crowd at Wembley and X percentage of it has come from the south of England. If we bought Origin here in 5 years' time, apparently there was an NFL game at Wembley yesterday, which wasn't between the two best teams apparently, and it
Jacksonville Jaguars,
and it rained and it wasn't a very good game. It was quite one-sided. 84,000 people.
Well, that's the thing. The NFL have built that up over years.
Yeah,
Haven't they?
and so Origin, if you said now, one of our plans is if the NFL ARLC got control of the game over here, and they said one of the things we are going to pay back to the clubs is a bonus that we're going to get from bringing State of Origin here in 2030 or 2032, then that will sell out at Wembley.
And now the NFL was in Dublin earlier this year. They're in Germany next week. They're going to Spain. There's a college football game being played.
They're going to Australia.
Yeah,
they're going to Melbourne.
There's going to be a college football game at Wembley next year, which they've been having a few in Dublin over the last few years.
Well, La Liga are taking a match to America,
which is all very controversial, isn't it?
Because but it isn't, because it's the,
see what happened.
It's the way
the
footballers
going in Spain. They didn't play for 15 seconds at the start of the match. They stood still in protest. That'll do a fat lot of good, won't it?
But you can't stop the rise of global sport,
no.
And the
it's
NRL,
a business.
The NRL can see that at the moment they're not quite global because they need us. So the package that they could offer, which might include bringing State of Origin here and the clubs getting a share in that and cheap tickets for it, or packages for their season ticket holders or whatever it might be, you would bite their hand off. I'd start walking there now if they said it was in 2030 at Wembley.
Worryingly, I've just realised that my speech director camera was a bit like Huey Green on Opportunity Knocked in the 70s. Don't Google that. Rob Clayton says, how did the review of the Saints League game go, James? Yes, James. Saints Leeds. Did you do that one? You know that one with the try and everything?
So long ago. Oh, Leeds St Helens, the playoff.
That one. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Venison
you know that game?
apologetic try.
Yeah. Have you apologised, James? Was that you?
Nothing
You have
to
to
do with me.
apologise.
Yeah, the
What were we apologising for next week?
The no try overturn was a poor error, really, and it's a difficult one because the decision was almost made off one angle, and when particularly given it was an overturn, should have always looked at more than one angle. And I think when you then compare that to the captain's challenge with the ball steal, that several angles were looked at when actually it was pretty obvious on the first angle it was stolen. I think I've got it the right way around. It's a few weeks ago now. Yeah, it was a pretty poor mistake.
Should they have apologised though? Should they have apologised?
No, in my opinion.
Never.
No. I don't think you should ever apologise for a referee making a mistake.
Because it was just a mistake.
I think you can admit that there's been an error, but I don't think you should apologise. And it sets a dangerous precedent because mistakes happen every week and will continue to happen.
And you want
every
them
week
to, because it's sport.
Because, well, it's just human nature that players make mistakes, coaches make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. So, does everybody start apologising?
Well, if something goes wrong on Saturday, Tony Sutton's going to be on bended knee to Peter Vland. He's apologising because he's obviously not going to be the executive chairman doing that.
You know, did Matty Pete apologise after the grand final? Did he get players out to apologise for missing tackles, dropping balls? Mm-hmm. No, it's just sport. You know, unfortunately, it's just mistakes happen. But ultimately, you know, there was an opportunity there that Leeds had to win the game.
Yes,
and they didn't win it.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
One mistake by an official that didn't determine the outcome of the game shouldn't take a reflection away from a team that could have won the game.
And insisting that apologies are given are just wrong.
It's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Who would have done that?
Yeah.
Thought I'd slip that in case you weren't concentrating.
No,
But no,
I'm concentrating.
damn.
I mean, I've said before, the clubs hold the power, don't they?
Robbie also asked, there's a rumour about 16 teams in 2027. Any truth? Could be anything. Could be 18. Could be 20. Could be
The
10.
problem is, without the
We don't know.
finance,
We don't
it can't be. And that's, if they'd have
More likely
said,
to be 10, to be honest, than 16.
if they'd have said, we're going to 14 now, and in 2028 we're going to 16, and London have been told that they, provided their finances there, are team number 15, so they can build up to, but they know they're going to be in.
What you mean, a bit like the NRL do? You know, they plan.
Yeah, and if
have
they'd
that
have said
strategy.
to, I'm told that
G&G,
the next bid that was deemed to be of value was Oldham.
I thought you were going to say for the NRL, and I was going to say New Zealand too. Oh, Oldham, right.
So Oldham's finances and the plan they put forward for growing their club was the next most impressive.
They were very quick to get their press release out.
So if you were to say we're going to 16 in 2028, subject to getting the finance to do it, and those two teams are going to be London and Oldham, and they've got 2 years to prepare.
You know, Oldham should
That's
have done.
strategy.
Oldham should have bought Salford and moved them to Oldham, and because they'd have had the 12th place then, or whatever.
But it also assumes that teams like Huddersfield and Castleford, dare I say, are safe.
Well,
And there's no guarantee of that if they stick with the IMG model.
And don't you also need to put the same amount of financial scrutiny on every club?
Of course.
Absolutely. And then this idea of this 3-year business, I'm not sure that's the right way to do it. And
Well, especially if they might be out next year.
did we get to the bottom of, dare I mention it, certain stadia, having certain areas of stadia.
You're talking about the gents at Wakefield.
decommission.
No, they're on it. Well, no, apparently. Well, no, let's not go. No, we're not going to go into that because it opens up a whole minefield that I don't want to
I think what
anywhere near.
What has happened with the IMG gradings is they have moved slightly, and every year they will move slightly.
Yeah,
Should we rebrand them? Because they're not the IMG ones. The RFL are in control of this whole process. IMG are advisors, and the RFL conveniently have someone to blame for this.
I think IMG have come up with the various criteria.
But see, this is where I come back to. It's not the RFL, actually. It's the clubs.
Yeah.
The clubs voted for IMG.
But
Clubs like
they
Keighley
didn't give them
Cougars
a
got hung out.
mandate.
Well, clubs got hung out to dry, didn't they?
Zero rated
Keighley got
Keith.
hung out to dry for their
Null
opposition.
point, Keith.
Where's your homework?
But then why bother submitting an IMG?
Well, yeah, if you're not gonna
Why
get in, yeah.
bother?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
a good
irrelevant.
point.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows what's
They're
happening.
not going to kick you out of the system.
What difference does it make?
And you're
when
not going to be in
submit?
Super League
No, it's a
for the
nonsense.
time being.
No, you don't need
That's
to.
a fair point.
So why bother?
I think the issue with IMG is there are always going to be clubs, like there are always coaches that will push the rules to the maximum and see how far they can get. There are always going to be clubs that are going to pick the lowest hanging fruit. And when Bradford saw what Castleford had done, they were very, very clever in saying, right, at what point can we do something similar to guarantee that we will be
Play
as
the
far
system.
So they played the system.
Absolutely.
But what the system also should warn them is that Castleford were Grade A this time last year and they're now Grade B. So it's all right doing it once.
Hull, I think, were Grade A. In their initial?
Yeah, then went back to B and now they're back at A.
Yeah.
But just because what you are this year, the gradings actually work because yes, you can find your way around them once, but you have to do other stuff to make sure you're sustainable.
You can't extend your TV gantry again.
You can't put seats in the Princess Street end twice.
You can't buy dodgy
By that
LED
stage,
bulbs.
the IMG will be gone. Or the gradings, at least.
I mean, as
might
someone
be.
said earlier, the lunatics are running the asylum, but that's unfair on lunatics and asylums.
Well, maybe we're building something that isn't an asylum at the side of the asylum.
Completely.
Many of my white coats are outside.
I was going to say there's been no games here, but there have been games here. But
What,
it
here?
was the Origin game that didn't count because it's not an official first class fixture because we fiddle with it. But I understand it was good. I saw bits of it, but not enough of it. Congratulations, Yorkshire, winning the Mediquip PDRL Cup against Lancashire, of which there's been no coverage whatsoever. There's a competition that has a sponsor attached. Well, I did note this on the Origin game, and I shouldn't say this, and I'm now starting saying this, so I'm going to do. On the graphics, it said Yorkshire Lancashire Academy because they haven't bothered to change them. So, attention to detail. On this programme, I know the pot and the kettle black. I know. Paul Rowley's in at St Helens for the surprise of all the people who backed Ben. What's his name? So there you go, new coach at St Helens. So we'll see whose fault it is next year.
It's an interesting fit because I think Paul Rowley can take the St Helens crowd with him because he'll play. His philosophy is to play a more attractive brand of rugby, but whether it's successful will depend on the players that he's got.
Who's the lad that that left Salford? Because someone pointed this out to me this week. The lad that left Salford and went to St Helens. Not
Dion Cross.
Yeah, that should be. Stream that. Stream their first meeting. I'll see that. I'll get some subscribers to Saints TV. So that's happened. So we'll see what happens. But he's also said that he'll need to sort out not next year's recruitment, but the year after.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
again, in a salary cap sport, you can't just make wholesale change.
No.
What he might do is play the younger players for longer,
give them yeah.
and that might be the way ahead.
But Saints fans aren't stupid.
They're not.
They're not stupid. Recruitment doesn't come down to the coach.
No.
And there are probably questions to be asked elsewhere in that club.
Correct.
So, yeah, whose fault will it be next year?
At the Brewdog Stadium. Lee Brace, because he's not been blamed for anything yet. Or Lauren Fresno still. But now, of course, congratulations to the future Warrington Wolves head coach, Steve McNamara, who will be taking over the job about May, June time, do we think? A bit unfair of me to say that, but we've all seen this film before.
OBE, out before Easter.
Over many clubs, over many years.
I have a feeling that if Sam manages the year, I think that tells you that he had an extension for 2026. That's when it ends. Yeah. If it ends sooner, it's because it isn't working. But again, everybody said Lee Breers getting appointed at St Helens was, Paul Whelan's coaching with his successor looking over his shoulder. It hasn't worked out that way. So
because I'm not sure he actually wants it, does he?
No, but you would have to think that Steve McNamara hasn't been bought in to be an assistant coach.
But not just that, the press release was strange, to say the least. No? Didn't announce a job role, just said he'd been appointed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Assistant to the coach.
And again...
Doesn't say that, though, does it?
No,
Sam is doing the BBC for the Ashes. Warrington are not going to upset that relationship by even saying he's not going to be our coach next year, because then it becomes all about him and a lot of the focus then is on him, and I think everybody quite rightly wants this to solely be about the Ashes. I genuinely don't know if Sam's going to be here to start pre-season training.
I'm not sure about that. I just found it a strange press release. He's not a director of rugby because I've already got a director of rugby.
He's not
even referenced as a consultant.
Yeah.
He's not an assistant coach. So what is he?
It's like when I had my job at Wakefield. I didn't have a job title. I just appeared 2 days a week. I was the Steve McNamara of the media team, but I got binned off. So.
And I like the way Steve says he's looking forward to working with Sam. But again,
is Sam looking forward to working with Steve?
It's a strange relationship because it's somebody that he coached. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think there are bigger forces at play, and whether it goes to the end of 26 and then Steve McNamara takes over, or whether it happens sooner, be that results dependent or whatever. That clearly
Sam's not there for the long haul, is he?
No, that succession plan is already put in place.
Yeah,
he's not going to be pictured on a motorbike in Las Vegas with Derek Beaumont, is he? Steve McNamara.
No.
I don't think so.
I just found it strange. Why not? Even almost like just appoint him as a consultant. Can't imagine he's going to be putting the cones out, setting up training. Can you?
And if Steve's ready to coach, he would, unless he went back to Australia, where he would accept that he was going back as an assistant coach. Over here, his standing is such, and what he did at Catalan, taking them to grand finals, winning Challenge Cup finals, all that. He's not an assistant.
Well, maybe he'll be the next Hull KR coach, because Willie Peters is obviously going to go back after, because they've discovered him now of the NRL. They've discovered him. That Willie Peters, you remember him?
Given him a green and gold hoodie.
Didn't he just extend his deal for okay? I mean, it's a non-story. It's a bit like Tony Smith though, or Brian McDermott going in as some sort of role in a club, isn't it?
Yes, that was what I was. What happened? Was it Tony Smith who went in under Darryl Powell? At least.
No, he took over from Darryl Powell.
I couldn't remember. There was something in my mind that something. I mean, that's ancient history as well, isn't it? But
took over in 2000. He was on his way home.
And then Gary,
from Huddersfield.
Gary said.
It reminded me of John Sharp coming into the match officials department, and then within months Stuart Cummins going.
He got a nice cushy job on Sky for a bit.
He did.
Nothing else happened apart from James Bentley's left Leeds, and will probably end up at either Bradford or Warrington or somewhere.
I think again the press release that came out about that is interesting. People can speculate where he's going as much as they want, and hopefully he will be able to keep his career going. But it clearly said it was a personal matter, and Leeds were still offering him support. And I don't think we'll get a lot more out of anybody publicly.
And what about Jack Sinfield?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Who would have thunk it?
It's interesting because his contract's up at the end of this year, and it looks like Wakefield have noticed that he probably doesn't feature as a first choice player and have come in early to get him, possibly as a longer term replacement for Mason Lena. But
it's strange. We can sign loads of foreign players.
Lots of it's going to depend what position you come through in as to whether you get first team opportunity. Jake Connor's played so well this year that he's man of steel. Well, however good Jack Sinfield is, it's very hard to knock on the coach's door and go, can I have his place? And Brodie Croft
Might fancy himself in the England squad there.
Brodie Croft's
not good enough to
probably
play
more
for
of a Sean
England.
Wayne playing. Well, I've seen
We're
some
not talking about that until,
No.
until the game.
I just had to mention it.
I've seen some Wakefield fans saying, I don't think he's that good. I say, Darryl Powell and Steve Mills have had a fairly decent track record with signing players at Wakefield so far.
I think you also need to look at who is now in charge of youth development at Wakefield.
Which is a fascinating move, isn't it? Yeah.
Who has seen Jack Sinfield's growth and is a big fan of his.
They have got, as they say, credit in the bank with me at least for signing players. Not that it matters what I think, because it doesn't.
No, I just couldn't see where he was going to break in at Leeds in the imminent future, because I don't think he wants to be or should be a backup hooker.
No. But he could be playing on Joe Redger at Dewsbury. So.
But if Wakefield have got him, then they're going to have to negotiate perhaps to get him out of the last year of his contract if they want him now, or he's going to be hanging around at Leeds for a year but not getting too many opportunities.
Who do you want from Wakefield? Unless send you a few players. Be like that.
That used to happen.
Be like the Mark Conway transfer.
That was brilliant. Yeah. That was brilliant.
He played for Dewsbury.
He did. He won the Yorkshire Cup.
Did we take 4 players for 2
something
or something?
Like that, yeah. Did we get no? We
no,
we got Andy Mason and Andy Wilson and all them kind of people. The other Andy Wilson, not that Andy Wilson. Is there any other news? We've done an hour and a half, and there's nothing going on. Yeah, there's nothing going on.
Biscuit time.
Yeah, James wants to get all the gossip.
Choice of 2.
So we will be at Wembley on Saturday. Have you been invited?
I think I have the opportunity to go. I probably won't go.
No, you're busy, signing out.
I probably won't go. So I'll possibly watch it on TV. Oh, we'll watch it on TV. Probably not live.
Who
catch up in the evening?
Who reviews these games? Is there an international panel of people?
I don't know. I would imagine it'll be just Phil Bentham, and I don't know who will be on the panel when it comes to deciding the third test. No idea. I think it all got organised at the last minute. You can't believe that in Rugby League, can you?
Did nobody think about
program?
it?
It's like, well, we didn't know if you were coming in or not until like 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
So we'll not be live at Wembley Library on Saturday unless there's a very late deal for that. But we will be there, enjoying the lasagna. Is it usually lasagna at Wembley? Can't remember. It'd be before kick-off. That'd be nice.
I had lasagna at Old Trafford.
It was nice, wasn't
it? The dessert tray was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The same desserts as us. It was like a selection of different things. Yeah.
Did you have a Fanta machine in your...
we had a stocked minibar.
Well, did you trust the Rugby League media with booze? No. Especially not some of those people in there.
Especially when they were working, supposedly.
No.
It's a good job our box was at the Hull KR end, because the glass when you pressed a button moved down. Box. But there was a certain point in the game I thought, we best raise this.
In case the beer was
it became a narrower gap.
Did you have mini lemon meringue?
We had half, what do you call them, shoe bun things.
I didn't get those.
Chocolate eclairs. Maybe they're different. They were different now.
But still good to see the lasagna. So we'll be at Wembley, buy a programme because Phil's written in it. And that's it. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching and listening, and enjoy the first test, and fingers crossed one day we are talking about a land of hope and glory.
Fingers crossed we'll have an Australian journalist in here and we'll be lording it over.
A land of hope and glory, and not advancing Australia fair. That doesn't really work, does it? But that'll do. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching and listening. And if I press stop